everyone. This video is a very special book review that I am doing in honor of Black History Month. It is a book that I truly loved as a young girl that I would look at all of the time. And the title of this book is Black, a Celebration of Culture. And it was compiled by, Deborah Willis. Now, the reason this book review is very special is because it is one of the few book reviews that I am dedicating to someone. And this video is dedicated to the late Omar Carter. Omar Carter was a young photographer. He was one of my Facebook friends, and even though we didn't talk much, I truly admired his photography. He was a young Black man going on with his career. He would photograph weddings. He would photograph his city. He had a lot of positive things to showcase and many motivational things to say. He was very young when he died. It was very sudden, and his passing hurt a lot of people. But his talent still lives on. In the description box and also in the comments, I've posted his Flickr account, which is still up, where you can go view some of his photography. So I'm dedicating this video to him because he was a photographer. The second reason this book review video is very special is at the end of the video, I'm going to show you photographs from my life, which I find pretty special. I may have shown you some of them, others you may not have seen before, but I will go into detail why these photos mean a lot to me and the stories behind all of them. So hopefully you will enjoy that as well and be inspired. So, as I stated, I loved this book as a child. The reason I loved this book as a child was because I did not have a lot of positive images of Black people, at least in my curriculum. The only place that I would find it would be in books, or I would find it at the Black Expo, which was a large expo we would have in St. Louis every year. I think they still have one in Indianapolis, but I'm honestly not sure. I may have purchased this book myself as a child. I used to go to all of the different expos because my mother sold hair products, and I would help the vendors that had books so that I could get books on a discount. I don't know why I did it. I just really love books. So some of the books that I bought as a child that I knew would be out of print are now out of print. So I have a lot of copies of various books that I treasure and will keep in my collection forever. And this is one of them, even though it still may be in print. But anyway, before I show you all of the beautiful images in this book, let me tell you a little bit about Deborah Willis. And I went online to find her biography, but she has a website called debwillisphoto.com, and her portfolio is absolutely amazing. It says, as an artist, author, and curator, Deb Willis's art and pioneering research has focused on cultural histories, envisioning the Black body, women, and gender. She is a celebrated photographer, acclaimed historian of photography, MacArthur and Guggenheim Fellow, and University Professor and Chair of the Department of Photography and Imaging at the Tisch School of the Arts at New York University. This is amazing. This is impressive. Impressive accomplishments. Willis received the NAACP Image Award in 2014 for her co-authored book, Envisioning Emancipation, Black Americans and the End of Slavery. I need to get that book too. And in 2015 for the documentary, Through a Lens Darkly, inspired by her book, Reflections in Black, A History of Black Photographers, 1840 to the Present. I'm also getting that book. I think I may have seen Through a Lens Darkly, but I honestly don't know. I feel I have seen that film or documentary before, a while ago. And then it goes into Hank Willis Thomas, but Deborah Willis or Deb Willis, she just had a birthday. I believe she is 75 right now. She's still in her craft, and I think that is pretty amazing. Doing what you love for the rest of your life is basically like heaven on earth. So, at the beginning of this book, which was published in 2003, so on December 31st, 2023, it will be 20 years that this book has been in print. Wow. Oh wait, no, it says 2004, so next year. 20 years. She starts off with in the introduction with a poem or a quote by Langston Hughes, and it says, "It is glorious, this history of ours. It is a great story, that of the Negro in America. It begins way before America was America or the USA. It covers a wide span, our story. Let me tell it to you." So Deb Willis, she says, "This book is one story, our story, told through photographic imagery. I find Langston Hughes' words an inspirational way in which to introduce this book about interpreting Black culture through photography. Most people construct their experience of life by visualizing the moment through storytelling, film and/or television, and the photographic image. For me, the photograph is an instrument of memory that explores the value of self and family and documenting everyday life." So she, I believe, had some photographers in her family. She says, "I became aware of the photograph as an important storytelling device. I was a little Black girl with bangs and pigtails living in North Philadelphia. My father was the family photographer and his cousin owned a studio near our house. They often photographed us, and later I spent many hours placing photographs in the family album. This was in the 1950s and early 60s, when the small number of television shows with Black characters did not portray what I experienced in my own family." And I thought that was pretty interesting because even though I wasn't in the 60s or the 50s, I still didn't see positive images of Black characters in my school books. The only reason I still had some type of self-esteem was because my mother bought fairy tale books that had pictures of Black people, and that's why I had I guess, self-confidence within. So she talks about just her growing love of photography and reading and television. She says, "Black, a celebration of a culture, looks at the way in which culture is constructed through photographs, photographing friends, people, and places, family members and their possessions, is a transformative act that one hopes instills a sense of joy and dignity in the subject, photographer, and viewer." I guess sometimes we don't realize how important a photograph is until we're trying to get a photograph of someone, like let's say they passed away, and now we want to see if we have any type of photograph of them in our collection or any photograph of us with them. It's almost like a piece of them is alive. That's why in some cultures they don't want you taking their photograph because they feel like you're trapping their soul in some type of inanimate object or you're capturing their essence. She says, in constructing a Black culture photo story through collective memory, I researched photographs in the Smithsonian Institution, the Library of Congress, and individual photographers' archives on African American life. I also looked at contemporary photographs by Black, white, Latino, and Asian photographers of all ages. I thought about the photographers' works that focus on Black life, photographs that celebrate and tell a story about everyday life. And when I say she put photographs from the turn of the century to 2003, it was absolutely amazing. Because even though they were of different times, it actually was the same story. Looking at photographs produced in the 1930s next to photographs made in 2003, I began to see linkages on the Saturday night/Sunday morning theme. Saturday mornings of leisure time shopping, going to beauty salons and barbershops. Saturday nights of dancing, partying, playing cards, and familiar Sunday morning baptismal services. Ministers at the pulpit, fancy hats, and proud families. So she talks also about teaching people, teaching photography in her late teens, and just goes on and on about her career and how it just came to be and grew into the woman that she is today and the photographer that she is today. This book is divided into a few sections. The first section is photographs of children. The sections, I'm going to read to you the list, but I'm not going to show you all of them, just some of the ones that stood out to me from my childhood to now. So the sections are children, everyday life, work, the arts, beauty, Saturday night, Sunday morning, sports, portraits, spirituality, celebration, and then, acknowledgments afterward. So, the first photograph I wanted to show you is this one. It is called Little Drummer Boy by Linda Ammons, 1986. I've always loved this picture because as a child, I would go to a lot of events. I was involved in a lot of Black history things, and there would always be drummers. And most of the drummers were adults, but then sometimes you would see young children playing the drums. So just imagine the drummer he's going to become as it's maybe a few years older than me now. I wonder if he's still drumming. But I just think it looks so cool. He looks so solemn and concentrated. The next photograph is this girl. It's called, Deb Willis took this. It says Sisters of the Boa Morte Festival, Brazil in 1987. This photograph to me is so beautiful. She looks so regal. Even though she is a little girl, it's like her eyes are filled with wisdom. She is literally a little queen. I just can't stop staring at her. Look at her face. Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Another photograph that I really like. Actually, there's two of them on here. One is of Malcolm X and his daughters. I love seeing pictures of children with their parents. I really admire Malcolm X, and he just seemed like he was a very good father. And this is one of my favorite photographs of him, honestly. It was taken in 1963. It's titled Malcolm X with His Two Daughters. and it's by Robert Haggins. Over here, this was a photo I always loved as a child because I feel like the children look like little princesses. I wonder what happened to them. Wait, hold on. You can't see. Yeah, this is what they look like. I don't know if you can see it or not. But it's titled John W. Mosley. Oh no, Dr. William Hamilton's daughters enjoying a birthday treat in 1944 Philadelphia, and the photographer is John W. Mosley. I like that photo because most of the photos they would show in my history books were just like black people being beaten or black people being lynched, or you never got to see just little girls being little girls. It's like you never got to see them just being like innocent, if that makes any sense. Like this photograph, innocent. It's these children in a dance class. They are so beautiful. Oh my God. Look at them. This is from Scurlock Studio, National Museum of American History. And if you're into celebrities, this is Sanaa Lathan when she was a little girl, I believe. This was in 1976. I love this photograph because it looks like a photograph that my aunt took when she was alive. My aunt Leveda, she went to a Catholic school. I don't know which one, like Holy Angels or something, and it reminds me of a photograph. It looks similar to something that she took. But I love the way they're dressed. They just look so 1920s, even though this says Tom Thumb Wedding 1950s. This just looks like the 1920s to me. I'll tell you who's my favorite. This little girl. This little girl in the back with her hat. Girl, you look cute. So, I'm sorry, I'm flipping through it. But yeah, I just love seeing inspirational photographs of children. This is the last photo. It says young dancers. It doesn't say a year, but they look like they could be on vaudeville. They look like vaudeville dancers. Look at them. Have you ever seen an adult this fresh in this day and age? No. Then it says everyday life, which was not one that I need to sit down and actually look at this one because it was just something I've always skipped over. I just wasn't inspired by it. I was inspired by the other things because they triggered memories. And look at this. Doesn't he look like a prospector? Like he's out in the woods. Wow. Wow. This photograph of Mary McLeod Bethune actually reminds me of my great-grandmother. Mary McLeod Bethune and my great-grandmother had like similar, like, not features, but I think like body type. Like you'll see, because I have a photograph of my great-grandmother in this video. That's her. Mary McLeod Bethune did a lot for the community, for real. Very motivating woman. This photograph is one of my favorites. I cannot stop looking at it. Actually, it's on the back of the book. I love it. It just reminds me of just the Little Rascals. Even though it's multiple children, every time I see it, I just think the Little Rascals because they're in the car, they're going on the beach, all of these beautiful children just having a blast being kids. Do you guys have any type of photographs that stand out to you in history? One photograph in history that stands out to me is one of Coretta Scott King singing in a beautiful, beautiful dress. Because she studied music and she went to conservatory school. Man, like a music conservatory. So she could have had a full-fledged musical career if she hadn't, dedicated her life and devoted it to the civil rights movement. I never noticed this photo before. This section is called work. Not only look at how fresh these people look at how clean the street is. There's not a piece of trash on this sidewalk. Oh my God. This is the most bougie, high-class deli I have ever seen. And look, they must have gotten like the whitest bleach, starch, fresh. The sidewalk is spotless, like, God. You can't even go to the deli now without tripping over a beer bottle, for real. Oh, he's handsome. It's a Tuskegee Airman. Hello. Hello, sir. I'm waiting for my man to come back from the war. And we gonna get a house together and we gonna get married. I never paid attention to this work. Now that I'm older, I'm just starting to take notice of things I never noticed before. Like the sections I skipped as a child. Now I'm like, this page right here, strong. First, this lady is growing these abundant vegetables or whatever she's growing. Then this lady is sweeping with a Caroline Atwater sweeps the yard in 1939. Look at her broom. She made a whole broom. This is a branch. One thing I admire about people of the past is even if their clothes were tattered, they still had nice clothes. They still dressed in style. Even if it was a frail-looking cotton dress, it still looked nicer than some of the clothes I've been seeing. The arts. Well, we got a performance over here. This looks like something Shakespearean. I wonder, Merchant of Venice? I don't know. Wow. I've always loved this picture just from the side profile. This is really great. Who did this? Charles Stewart, Portrait of Eric Dolphy in 1964. I'll have to show you some more photography books because I actually have a shelf full of photography books that I have not gone over yet. I always love this photograph because it reminds me of Katherine Dunham, even though it is not her. It just reminds me of her. She's so free. She has a beautiful body. She just wearing her afro. This is like her afro. I'm sorry as I go look. I really want to show you all the photos that stand out to me. So there's Erykah Badu. Ooh, there's Nat King Cole. If you are a parent and you want to show your child beautiful images, I would highly recommend this book because it is full of wonderful, wonderful images. This is one of Minnie Riperton, and it was taken by David Augie Ogborn in the 1970s. She looks like a flower princess. Look at her. Loving you is easy 'cause you're beautiful. Yeah. She has a voice of an angel. Bob Marley. I'm loving his free forms. Bob Marley was a very handsome man. He had a beautiful smile. Just a beautiful spirit. That was taken by David Augie Ogborn in 1979. Then there's another, which is a beauty. And obviously I loved this section because I was just learning how to be girly. I didn't have any sisters, so I would try to figure out. In fact, how I wear my hair now is a decision I made when I was 14. Because a lot of beauticians were trying to straighten my hair. They're like, straighten it. And I said, well, how can I make it lay flat like it's straightened, but not be straightened? And the idea came from looking at photographs of different African women that braided their hair down. And that's how I started wearing my hair. And obviously it grew longer because if I wore my hair in a bun, I would just rip it out. But anyway, okay, this page. This is Freddie Washington. I think it's Freddie or Freddie. She was in the original Imitation of Life, and she played a lot of characters. She was very popular in Hollywood. This photograph was taken, I don't know when, by Robert Scurlock. Very beautiful lady. She helped a lot of black actors and actresses try to get fair pay. I think she may have begun her own studio, but I'm not sure. But she was in the first Imitation of Life. She had some other films that she was in as well, but I honestly can't remember. This right here, this woman, it says, she doesn't have a name, but you know who she reminds me of? This image in particular reminds me of an image that Alice Ruth Dunbar Nelson took, the ex-wife of Paul Laurence Dunbar. I tried to imitate this hairstyle as a teenager. It's Pauline Powell. I love this photograph because she has such a peaceful face. She has a beautiful neck, and she looks so elegant. That's one reason I was mesmerized by a lot of these photos, because most of the photos of black women in my history books or just I don't know where else I saw the photos, but they just weren't this beautiful. They did them no justice, or they didn't try to bring out or showcase how beautiful these women were. I just put them to the side. But she just looks like a peaceful person. I like this. This is in 2002. 6th Avenue and West 4th Street. It's just a girl. She going shopping. At first, I didn't know how to feel about this photo as a child because I was very, not conservative. I say reserved. I was very self-conscious about my body. And as a result, I was also self-conscious about other people's bodies. So, like, something like this, I wouldn't even wear today. Like, you won't see me wearing this. I couldn't wear shorts. I still don't wear shorts. But there was something about this photograph that just inspired me because she was just living in her skin. She was just being herself, being a girl, being grown, going out there, getting her stuff, and going out to party. And I just thought that was so cool. I just thought that was so cool. Oh, man. Oh, another photo I loved. This African woman who is being herself even though all of these other standards, relaxers, are being promoted. This was taken in Ghana. It's called Ghana, 1988. Photographer Stephen Mark. She looks so beautiful. I almost wish this photo was in color, or I wish her dress was the only thing in color. Because she literally looks like a queen. And she's like, I ain't trying to get your standards. Miss me with that. That's right, queen. The next section is Saturday night, and these people be wilding in here. Let me show you. Let me show you. Oh, girl. I love this because she's just having fun. She like, hey. She about to cut a rug, okay? Okay, with her leg out. Oh, snap. This was taken in 1997 and it's called Cheryl Lynn. My middle name is Lynn. Okay, I see you. I see you. Okay. There was another photograph of this wild looking party. Like, what was going on? It didn't matter if it was 1930s. They were all up on each other. Okay? Hold on. Maybe I skipped it. I don't know. I probably skipped it. I don't know. Maybe in my imagination, it was wilder than I thought it was. They were just like, I'm gonna dance on each other. This is whole page. Just party, 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 party. But they certainly were not on each other like this couple was. Shoot. Where is it? They are about to break it down. In whatever decade it was. Probably the 50s, because that's what it looks like. Okay. Sunday morning. This photograph I loved because this baby looks so innocent. Little altar boy. Who that was. This mother and daughter just got through being baptized. In 1999. This photo reminds me of, this photo was taken in 1989, but it literally reminds me of the first church I went to as a child, where like it seemed like everybody was just clustered together, like it was like jam packed together, and there was literally no space. But I like it. I like the closeness. Man, I love that photo. Robert Roland L. Freeman, African American Expressive Culture in Philadelphia, 1989. Sports we're gonna skip because I really am not into sports. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. That's pretty. That's pretty. What photo stands out to me? What photo? There's another Freddie Washington photo. Hey! Okay. This is a handsome photo of Booker T. Washington. I do say so myself. I like it. This was taken in 1907. Hello. I always loved this photo. It's a family portrait, and it's grandma and her babies. That middle baby. Oh, I love it. She's so proud. Grandma. Grandma. I love you. Spirituality. I cannot find too many that stood out to me from the past, except for this one. Beautiful eyes. Oh my God. Look at her. And all these little Muslims. And Saints Day. Beautiful. The contrast of their skin against the white. God, that's so beautiful. Taken by Chester Higgins, the close-up, and Sheila Turner. One was in 1998 and one was in 1990. Oh, this was the wild party I was talking about. Of course it's wild. It's Carnival in Washington, 1997. Get down, girl. I don't know what's happening, but something happening. Okay, I literally was somewhere else. Okay, that's what was happening. So yeah, that's the end of the book. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry I was a little bit slow. I am going to be showing you now the photographs from my life that have a lot of meaning to me or just make me have a trigger of the past. And hopefully you can share with me some of the things from your lives as well. So talk to you later, everyone. Bye-bye. Hi, everyone. In this section of my book review video, I'm going to be sharing with you some photographs from my life. I selected these photographs because they have special meaning to me, and I feel that they really sum up my life so far. Some of these photographs were taken before I was born. Some of the images are of me, and other photographs in this, I guess, slideshow are photographs that I have taken in different points of my life. So as I go through each one, I will explain the picture, why I selected it, what it means to me, and we'll just do that all the way until the end of the video. So the first photograph is of my great grandmother on my mother's side. This is my grandma, or my great grandma Lavinia. She lived in Arkansas before she migrated to St. Louis, Missouri. So before her, they had been in Arkansas throughout the 1800s, and I guess she came to St. Louis due to the Great Migration or something, because a lot of Black people were moving from the South further up north. But Grandma Lavinia was a very kind woman. Out of all of the stories that I have heard of her, I learned that she was called Mother. She was very sweet. She took care of the sick, and she would go visit the sick and pray for them. She was involved in a lot of organizations, very passionate about community building. She also, I heard, had visions. She, or at least one of my relatives told me that at one point she could see the dead, but she prayed that she wouldn't be able to see them, and she lost her ability to see them. I like this photograph of her because it's her with a group of other people, which shows that she's very community minded, but she also has that sweet, sweet smile, which shows the kindness in her face. And I also like this photograph because she literally looks exactly like my grandmother. Just a different skin tone, because my mother's mother was very light and Grandma Lavinia was very dark, but they have the same face. The next photograph is of my father's mother, my grandma Dorothy. This is her when she was a young lady. I really like this photograph because she just seemed so stylish. She was beautiful her entire life, honestly. Even in her 60s, she just had this youthful look about her, very sweet, caring, and funny. I like this photograph because she actually looks like a lot like my father's um, older sister, which was, her daughter. But like when I look at her, I see my aunt's face. My grandmother, she was biracial. Her mother was like white Italian. I can trace them back to Italy. And then her father was Black. I think his lineage goes back to Mississippi. But sometimes when I look at this photograph, I just like, sometimes I see my aunt. Sometimes I see my personality, or what I strive to be as personality. But yeah, I really, really love this photograph. The next photograph is of my grandma, my father when he was a little boy, and my two aunts. I saw this photograph after my father died. It was posted by one of my aunts. And I really love this photograph because it looks just like a happy little family. I also don't have that many photographs of my father as a little boy, and I can truly see the innocence in his face. In fact, this entire photograph looks very innocent. They just look like a tiny little doll family. And every time I look at this picture, it just makes me smile because it's just so full of love and so full of innocence. The next photograph is a photograph somebody took of me when I was only a few months old. Um, I Every time I see this, I laugh, like, because I still make the same facial expressions. That's why it's funny to me. But I really like this picture because I'm just starting out fresh in the world. I'm just freaking out and looking scared and being jumpy, and that's essentially kind of my personality. I've calmed down a little bit, but I just think it's so cute. Like, I didn't even realize how small I was. Like, this diaper looks so huge on me. I have these little chicken legs. But yeah, I really like that photograph because I still have that same character. The next photograph is of me and my dad. Now, my mother basically essentially raised me on her own, and I would see him every so often. So I actually remember this day. I went to a really wonderful daycare. I had a whole bunch of great memories at this daycare. And one day, I think it may have been around Father's Day, or I don't know what it was. It was something where he came to my daycare. I was about 3 or 3.5 years old, possibly 3. And I remember how I didn't know how to act around him. I just was like thinking to myself, okay, what do I show him? Like, I guess I'll show him all of the places that I play, right? I took him to the sandbox. I took him to my favorite swing because I would swing on the swings, and I would sing Rockin' Robin at the top of my lungs. So this was one of the playthings we had in the daycare. There were actually 3 playgrounds on the daycare ground, and there was a swimming pool there too. I told you, it's a bougie daycare. So I remember this day, and I like how half of his face is kind of hidden because that's just how it felt to me. I was just like, I don't know what to do, like how to act, so I'll just play with him. I also enjoy this photograph because this is how I wore my hair most of my childhood. All I did was wear it in a poof ball. I didn't know what to do with my hair. Nobody really knew what to do with my hair, so it just was in a poof ball from the time I was like 2 all the way to maybe 7th or 10th grade. The next photograph is of me and Granny, who is my mother's mother, in Ferguson. I really like this picture of me and Granny because it basically essentially describes our relationship. Granny was always like holding me close and like, stop it, gal. Don't do that. Don't put your greasy head on my couch. But she still loved me. I lived with Granny and my mom and my uncle. This was taken on Easter, and Granny had bought me a bunny rabbit that I named Commander Bun Bun. There were tulips that would grow every year. I don't know if the tulips still grow. I'm pretty sure they may still grow. But I specifically remember this section of the yard, the tulips would grow. And my mother took this picture. I guess I was like 9 years old when this picture was taken, so I really liked it. The next photo is of me and my cousin. My cousin is like a year and a half to 2 years younger than me, and she was basically like my sibling. I don't have any siblings, so I'm an only child, but me and her basically grew up together. And this is us at the St. Louis Zoo. We loved going to the zoo. We had so much fun. And I was eating a nectarine. Nectarine was my very, very favorite fruit as a child. So when I look at this, all I remember is just how much fun I would have in summer so I could eat nectarines. Like, we were cutting up that day for real. The next photograph is of me and my cousin again. And we were in basically Kinloch. That's where all of us, most of us came from, Kinloch. I love this photo because this is how our moms would dress us. Like, they would just dress us like little dolls. And in this photograph, I think we look like little sailors, just having fun. Our mothers would put on the little frilly socks for us, the little nice little cute dress, and we just looked like dolls. And it just reminds me of my childhood. This photograph is of Northwest Plaza. Northwest Plaza was a mall, a very popular mall in St. Louis. A lot of people went there. It was a mall that was for everybody. And unfortunately, it shut down. Um, this is one of the last photographs of Northwest Plaza before it closed and reopened as like some type of open mall. I think I took this in like 2007. But it just made me depressed walking through the mall because There were no stores open. There was maybe one store open, and all of the other stores were covered in trash bags. So I just I just couldn't let go because I had had so many memories there. There was an arcade, there was restaurants, they had like concerts in the middle. It was just a really cool mall, and it's unfortunate what happened with it. This next photograph is one that I took as a teenager. I was in a photojournalist class in 11th grade, and we had to go to the city museum to take photographs for our project, or like our photography project. So there was this little girl at the city museum who was a very good model. She would pose, but she wouldn't look at the camera. She would just act natural. I didn't even ask her to do this for me. Like, she just did it on her own. And I love this image because it describes the wonder of the city museum. The city museum is basically like a playground for all ages. Adults, children, artists, they love to go there. It's an outdoor jungle gym and an indoor jungle gym. It's just a wonderful place. So if you're ever in St. Louis, I would go visit the city museum. But I love this image I took of her because of the play on light. I actually made a painting of this picture. It's literally one of my favorite photographs I've ever taken. I took it when I was about 16 or 17 years old. Or maybe I was 18. I don't know. It was one of those things. The next photograph is of me in 2010, or like December 2010. I was in Chicago for an internship. I had just come from a party and I was having a lot of fun. I was just like so excited. It was my first time being in Chicago. I did go to Chicago a few more times, but not in the winter time, but in warmer months. But I remember my first time there and how amazed I was at how big Chicago was. I had never realized that my city really wasn't quite a city until I went to Chicago. There was so much to do, there was so much movement around, and it just made an impression on my mind. And this is one of the few photographs where I feel like I was truly happy, where everything was right with the world. I was in school. I was just having a fun time. And it's just, when I look at this, I just think, wow, this is one of the remaining parts of my life where I was actually sincerely, genuinely happy and just innocent in my mind. I was probably like 21, 20, yeah, like 20 or 21. Then this next photograph is a photo I took when I was in college. I was at school. I would hang out in the chapel and just be at peace. I took this photo where I was just blowing bubbles, chilling. I was much more of a chill person at some points during my college years. But I was also very whimsical. Now, I think I have calmed down. But when I look at this, I just think of like, wow, I was still figuring myself out. I will never be that person again, and that is okay. The next photograph is of my father. He came to a book signing that I had at, I want to say, Forest Park Community College, or I was like showcasing my work, and I was so surprised that he came. I don't remember if I invited him or how he found out, but I was literally shocked that he showed up. I was so shocked. And he didn't know I had done art before, for real. So I love this photograph because it's him and he's holding my very first book. I put this photograph of him in my Kwanzaa book and I had dedicated it to him, which I thought was cool because I'm on my 7th book and he's holding my first book. I just thought that was really, really cool picture. And he just looks so happy and proud. The next photograph, I was at some type of Karamu or Kwanzaa event, possibly in 2011 or 2012. This was literally one of the few periods of my life where I still just had a mind that wasn't, that was just, I don't know. It was still an innocent mind that wasn't like full of any type of bitterness. That's what I think when I look at this photo. And also it shows that this was one of my last remaining years of working with children. So right now I'm talking to a child, and that basically sums up everything about my work with children. Like, I'd be talking to children, I'd be hugging children, I'd be tutoring children. My life was just filled with children, and that's what I see in this photograph. Like, I don't know what I'm saying to him, but is possibly something where I'm just like, okay, little boy, blah 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 blah. You should do this. But that phase of my life is over too. Next photograph. This is of me, I think, protesting. I'm at the very, very end. And protesting mostly summed up like my teens and my 20s. I cannot remember when I stopped protesting, possibly near the very end of my 20s. I just kind of stopped. And when I look at this, I just think of all of the marches I went to, all of the events and different things I would go to, all of the meetings, and I just really poured my heart and soul into trying to build a better community. But as I look at this photo, I'm like, that phase of my life is over as well. The next photograph is one that I took, and it is of downtown St. Louis. Ironically, at another protest. Another protest. But it's not the protest that I'm looking at. It's just the fact that this is my city. There's all these people there. A lot of the things in my life centered around downtown. Like, I would go downtown for celebrations. I would go downtown to protest. I would go downtown to sing in choir. Like, downtown has a special place in my heart. Ooh, snap. Yeah. The next photograph, or the next three photographs, are ones that I took in Forest Park. And I love Forest Park. I go there sometimes just to sit and to hide when I just want to get away from the world. It is especially peaceful in summer. They're really renovating it. That's probably one of the only, Forest Park Forever is probably one of the only organizations I would literally give my money to, because I see what they've done with the money and I like what I see. So I would donate more to them. But anyway, Forest Park is so beautiful. It has so many little pathways, and I love going there to sit and just rest my mind and think about my life. This photograph of the ferry and an altar, this photograph was taken in my room in my apartment before the apartment I'm at now. When I look at this, I just think of how I feel about whatever space I live in, whatever room I'm in. I want my room to feel safe. I want my room to be full of beauty. And when I look at this, I just think of all of the happy times that I had at my old apartment. And I really loved that place. So sometimes when I look at this, I feel sad, but other times I remember that I can always create this place because it's not the room, it is what I put in my space, emotionally and spiritually. This next photograph is of me holding my baby cousin, and as I showed you earlier in the video, there is a cousin that I had that was like my sister, right? So she had her baby, and this is my first time meeting him. And I love this photograph because not only were we color coordinated, which was a complete accident, it's just like my little baby had a baby, and this is really amazing. This is the closest I will ever feel to being like an aunt. And I was just so excited to meet him. I was so excited. Like, this was probably one of the happiest times of my life to meet my baby's baby. Let's see. This photograph is of a rainbow tree or a eucalyptus tree in Hawaii. I had never seen a tree so beautiful in my life. I had never seen a tree that looked as if it had all of the colors I loved in one tree. I just had to take a photograph of it so I could remember it. And you know, this photograph does not do this tree any justice. It literally does not. It didn't capture how beautiful and bright the colors were. It just was the most beautiful tree I had ever seen in my life. And the final photograph, this was taken by somebody else. It was actually taken by the guy that I liked out of town. And I like it because at this point in my life, I was just I had been over the course of several years just not happy, um, going through stress, just all these just stressful happenings happening to me. And this person really made me believe in opening my heart again. And even though it did not work at all, or like work out in the end, I'm really glad that he came into my life to show me that I could like open up my heart and stuff. Because I had literally essentially closed my heart. I wasn't dealing with anybody. I was just over it. I didn't get to feel like I was just childlike and free. So that's why I really love this photograph, because he actually captured how I was feeling at that time, like the opening of my heart again. And also, I love the trees. I'm wearing a green dress. I am the tree. Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite photographs of me. And it was one of the few photographs where I was just like, somebody actually caught me being genuinely happy, if that makes any sense.